Mr. Taylor and Mr. Smith, please report to the dining hall for lunch. Hi, I'm John Smith.
Oh, hi, I'm James Taylor.
Oh, nice jacket.
Oh, thanks.
Have you ever served in the armed forces?
Yeah, actually, I served in Vietnam from 1966 to 1968.
I also served in Vietnam. Served from 1967 to 1969.
Yeah, but even though I went into Vietnam in 1966, I joined the Army at age 18 in 1961, and one of my first jobs was to help train the Cuban exiles for the invasion of the Bay of Pigs in Cuba.
Oh, of course, the Bay of Pigs. That was the failed US-backed invasion of Cuba that attempted to kill Fidel Castro.
Yeah, the CIA-trained exiles left both Nicaragua and Cuba and landed in Bay of Pigs on April 17th, 1961, and they were trying to overthrow the relatively new communist government that Fidel Castro had just set up.
Oh yeah, but after 3 days, all the Cuban exiles were defeated by Castro's forces. And then, since we failed, that brought shame to the US government, and mainly John F. Kennedy. Yeah, so that failed invasion was under the orders of President John F. Kennedy. You know, he carried the U.S. through some tough times in the early 1960s, such as the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Oh yeah, the Cuban Missile Crisis. That was probably the closest time the world has ever been to World War III.
Yeah, that man had a lot of potential and he was liked by almost everybody. Too bad the poor guy got assassinated.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who think the same.
Yeah, it happened on November 22nd, 1963. Oswald was on the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository, and he shot JFK while he was riding through the streets of Dallas, Texas, in his limousine.
Yeah, so Lee Harvey Oswald fired 3 shots at JFK. The first one missed, the second one injured him, and the third shot was the kill shot that literally blew off half of his head.
Yeah, but get this. Right after the shooting, he was seen on the 2nd floor of the same building drinking a Coke.
Okay, let's just stop talking about this. How about we talk about our times back in Vietnam?
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, let's talk about our times in Vietnam.
Yeah, so like I said, I was sent into Vietnam in 1966 because the leader of North Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh, and the Southern Viet Cong were trying to spread communism into South Vietnam.
Yeah, I just went into Vietnam in 1967 from the good old policy of containment under the Truman Doctrine.
Oh yeah, containment, right.
Yeah, the U.S. fought long and hard, but after the U.S. pulled out their troops in 1975, South Vietnam fell and communism spread all throughout Vietnam and in neighboring countries like Cambodia.
So even though many of the enemy forces in Vietnam weren't super highly trained, they were able to outsmart many of the US soldiers in Vietnam because they were fighting near their own backyard in their own jungle.
Yeah, that's true. And I can see why, because I remember my time back in Vietnam and fighting in the jungle, it was tough.
So even though technically the US didn't lose the war in Vietnam, many people consider it the only war that the US has ever lost because they pulled their forces out from the side that eventually ended up losing.
Mr. Taylor and Mr. Smith, lunchtime is over.
But we're actually having a really good conversation about the Cold War in the 1960s.
I don't care. Lunchtime is over.
Alright, well, I guess it's time to go.
Oh, I guess you're right. It's time to go.
Alright, Mr. Smith, well, it was really nice meeting you, and I hope one day we can share some more stories and talk more about Vietnam and the Cold War in the 1960s.
Yeah, it was nice to meet you, Mr. Taylor. This was a great conversation.
Oh, them commies. Ugh. Charlie.
Yes, I know my enemies. They're the teachers who taught me to fight me. Compromise, conformity, assimilation, submission, ignorance, hypocrisy, brutality, the elite, all of which are American dreams. 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 All of which are American dreams.